Welcome to Nicomuras, a world full of sprawling cities and dark secrets. In the wake of the trial, a divine act of righteous judgment, the world has been launched into an era of rebirth. But there are those who still lust for darkness and ruin. Follow us across the continent of Talira, from the deserts of Elon Ryan to the fields of Rivaluna. Deep in the Bloomrose Ocean and high above the Alisar Mountains, our story will see our adventurers through glory, fear, and fortune as they make their way through the Paper Dungeon.
Awesome. Welcome back to another episode of the Paper Dungeon. Today we're here with Grant as he plays his character Edward Fellows.
Hello.
Super excited. This should be really, really interesting. So
I'm so hyped for this. I've been waiting, dude. And I can't wait. The first time pulling out my character sheet felt like it was magical, man.
It's going to be so good. I feel bad for Aaron because I was like, okay, who do I feel is going to be like the most cool with being last? And I knew that Aaron would be. And I knew everyone else was going to like want to get through their characters really quickly because they're all super excited. And Aaron's super excited for his character too. But I knew Aaron would be like the most chill. So I'm glad we're like getting towards the end of these character one-shots. Just some quick upkeeps since we're talking about it. In case you haven't realized it, we're going to be doing character one-shots for each of the individual characters to kind of highlight them and let you guys get to know them. And then what we'll do is we're actually going to have 2 small group shots. And then we'll have a 1-week break. And then the following week after that, I believe it's the 7th of September. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's the 7th of September will be the first episode of our full campaign where all these crazy goons get together and hopefully decide to stick with each other. We'll see how well I can make that happen. So yeah, that's kind of the schedule going forward, just so that everybody knows. Grant, do you have anything you want to say before we get started?
I would like to say something real quick. I'm just gonna show people my D20 of this set because I bought a set of dice specifically for this.
Oh yeah, and they're really rad.
Here's the D20. It's amethyst.
Yeah. Look at that. It's so pretty.
That is Edward's dice. I've also been practicing his accent all day, and I'm excited for it to get better as I play. So we'll see how that goes.
Awesome. Well, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So, Edward, we open in the city of Athala. This is the capital city of Oclaron, the country that you've lived in your whole life and the city that you've lived in your whole life. You are actually up on the northern side of the inner third ring of the city. This is where many people of prominent power and estate who either are political leaders or businessmen, people that have quite a bit of money, live. Your estate was one of the first to be founded here in the third ring as they continued to build up, not quite the fourth ring where the truly elite high-end powers live, but just beneath them. As you know, Athala is a city that's basically built into the cave of the Lunancona mountain range. There was just this natural divot in the mountain, so they built into it and a wall around it, so it kind of makes this circle within this, like half circle within the cave and half out of it, and they've built upwards towards the roof of this cave slowly and surely. And so your castle-like estate has been there for many, many years since your grandfather built it from his hands, and so it's basically where you've lived your whole life. And as we open, it's going to be just another morning for you, just something that you've always done. You wake up, you go through your morning routine of stretching. Your butler, Charles, comes in asking you what you need, begins to help you as you get dressed and brush your teeth, and very much the pampered lifestyle that you have lived before eventually you head downstairs towards the dining room. There you can see your father, Newgate, sitting as he reads a pretty thick tome. And he's sitting there with what looks like a bowl of oatmeal eating. You enter that, and your father looks up from his glasses that are down at his nose and says, "Good morning, Edward."
Good morning. How are you today, Father?
I'm doing swell. I'm just trying to manage some books here, manage some papers. Our shipments of Arginite are coming in quite well, and so it's working out very nicely. I think we're going to be able to raise the prices about 3%, which should be quite nice, as some of the mines have been a little bit slower, and so the pricing has been able to go up.
Wow, you're raising the prices again. That's amazing. Also, did Charles whip up the tea that I asked him to whip up last night?
I'm not sure. You can go check in the kitchen.
Charles, Charles.
Right away, sir. And this, not too much older, probably about the same age as your father, probably about mid 40s, mid to late 40s, wrinkled man, a really, really dark chocolatey skin with kind of this whitened, not whitened, but graying, kind of thick curly hair on his head. He comes rushing in saying, "Yes, sir. What can I get for you?"
Remember last night I mentioned the green tea, the oolong tea that
Yes,
I'd like
yes,
for
yes.
him.
Let me go get it. And he
Thank you.
makes his way into the kitchen. And about a few moments later, he comes out with a tray that has a couple tea cups of tea and a teapot coming out. You can see that there's steam coming up from the teapot as he brings it and sets it down on the table and then pours you a cup and hands it to you. Your tea, sir.
Thank you very much. Father, would you like a cup?
No. Before
Okay.
going back to looking at his book.
Perfect. Father, what's planned today? You said there was maybe something special going on?
No, nothing particularly special. Charles is going to run into town and run a few errands. He's actually going down to the lower level, I suppose. You could go with him if you want. If you're looking for something to do, I suppose.
I can go. I can go with him.
Yeah, I suppose it's probably time for you to go out and see our city. If you're going to take over the business and understand how it works, you should know the people that we're supplying and all that we provide for people. So yeah, I suppose you could go down.
Man, I haven't been out of our state since for many years. I can hardly even remember the last time. This is special, Father. This is huge. I'm going to, for the first time, see my town, see where I'm from. This is amazing. I mean, I do love the estate. I don't mean to offend you, but I mean, there's a whole world out there. I can't wait to see it.
Yes. Charles will explain.
Charles.
I'm right here, sir. You look over your other shoulder, and he's right there. Yes, sir.
Charles, would you put together my things? I'm not used to going out. I don't really know what I need, but I'm assuming you would know, correct? You go out often.
I do. As you have been around the estate, it is fall, so you probably want a jacket and maybe to put on some shoes. Otherwise, you should be just fine. It's not like we're going into the wilderness or anything.
Well, kind of feels that way.
Let me grab your coat, sir. And he begins making his way to the foyer where you know there is a cloak closet. Comes back a few moments later with your very, very nice, well-kept leather coat. Super well, kind of patina, just enough to like really look kind of rustic and really like broken in, and just absolutely gorgeous leather coat.
And might I say, I look stunning. Should I take this time to describe my character?
No.
Okay.
There's character beneath you, and we'll do that during the first session.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
that sounds good. Oh yeah, there is character art.
people can guess for a little bit. We'll do that during the first open session. Sorry, I need to fix this so my headphones don't die. Whoop.
Dude, you are good. Take your time, Mr. DM. This is your game. I trust you with my life.
Well, that's good because I'm gonna kill your character.
Oh.
Wait, what? Did I say that out loud?
Good thing we're only level 1, because that's easy.
Hey, for those of you that know, you know, at a couple one shots ago. Hey, anyway.
What?
Anyway, so we Charles helps you put on your coat. You go to set out with your boots, and then Charles comes back to that foyer with a basket and a list. And he looks at you and goes, "Shall we depart, sir?"
That would be great. Should I bring some snacks? How far away is it?
We'll be going down to the first level to pick up some more obscure items. So it will be gone for a few hours, but there should be markets along the way that you could potentially buy some fresh fruit or foods.
That would be
and like
wonderful.
that.
Actual fruit from the street. That's so cave-like.
I mean, that's where we normally get the fruit. It's just that I bring it back to you. But
Oh, you're such a mystery to me, Charles. Let's go.
yes, very much so, sir. And he opens the door and begins leading you down the long, long, not a driveway, but path that leads up to your estate, out to to the borders, where you have your fence, and there's another road. It all curves around, and you guys have a large enough estate that you actually take up probably about like a 32nd of the whole third ring. Like you have a pretty
30-second.
yeah, like it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're talking about like several
Oh yeah,
miles of circle,
that's
that's
plenty.
a big area. And so you make your way down to the edge of your estate before Charles opens the gate for you and lets you through. And it's a gorgeous day out. It's interesting because Athala is in a cave, technically, like half of it's in a cave and half of it's not. But some of the mages that helped to create this city many years ago actually put a spell on the inner half of the state so that it mimics the weather that's happening on the outer side of the
Oh,
city. So that it's all the same
cool.
weather, and it's really, really rad. And today is a nice day. It's not quite fall yet. It's just on the verge of summer going into fall, just as the leaves are
What
just
a
beginning to
great part of the
turn.
year.
Yeah, just as the leaves are starting to turn to different shades, and it's just getting a little bit colder, probably about 55, 60 degrees, just enough that you kind of want a jacket if there's going to be a little bit of a breeze, which there is going through. And you begin making your way through this upper portion of Athala. The estates here are all quite lovely. None of them are quite as big as yours. You happen to own one of the largest estates in the third ring.
Of course, it's the Fellows Estate. Everybody
That's
knows
exactly
about it.
right. Yeah. As one of the largest suppliers of Audronite, which is a very rare mineral, you guys are loaded, to say the least. And so you guys go through and you begin making your way down these streets. Many houses are of similar stature and size, very tassel-like, very well built and stuff like that. Just none of the properties are quite as big. And you make your way around to the southern side of the ring, where there are two staircases that go down, and at one gate. As you approach the gate, you can see that there are two guards manning the gate. As soon as they see Charles, though, they recognize him and immediately allow him to pass, nodding at you as you go. Charles waves, and then you guys begin making your way down these large staircases.
I say to the guards, I say, "Hail and well met, friends," as I pass.
Yes, sir. They say, or one of them says as you pass them, and then they kind of like look at each other.
Yes, that's what I wanted.
You can see that these staircases are pretty big. The walls of these cities are probably about 60 to 70 feet tall. As they go down, you know that there are several basically subtunnels beneath each layer of the city that go deep into the ground, that allow for either incognito transportation or the smuggling of different things. On occasion, you know that your father has brought in a few different people from neighboring countries that weren't quite as welcome here as ambassadors, but you conducted business with them, and so there's a couple different ways that they have been smuggled in, stuff like that. And so there are tons and tons of tunnels and rooms and stuff like that beneath the third levels that go down about that 75 feet before getting to the base of the second level. And so you go down these crisscrossing staircases. Eventually, there's 4 flights of them that go down before you get to yourself in the second ring. This is another pretty beautiful ring. It's not the lowest ring. It's not the most impoverished. And here you can see that it being a larger ring, there's much more to it. There's many houses, just of regular estates. Nothing quite as fancy or as rich. Not like super poor, not like they're living in shacks or huts or anything like that, but basically suburbs. And then towards the south portion of this ring, there's a very large market. And as you begin making your way through, it becomes quite lively, as you can see, as you go down and around this front half of the circle. Probably about a 4 mile arc of this circle is all markets with people that sell anything from magic items to leatherworks to food to fruit to pets to transportation to farm animals. All of this is all a part of this market here in the second level, and it is rowdy and loud and chaotic, and almost a little overwhelming for you, as like you've never really seen this many people, and you've never seen so many people yelling and screaming without being angry or mad or anything like that, just trying to get what they want before it sells out or anything like that. Charles. Yes, sir.
Is everything okay around here? Is there something going on? This is so uncivilized. What's happening? There's so many people.
Calm down, my master. This is normal. The markets are only open 2 days a week, and so you have to get all your supplies when you can. And so many people are trying to get what they want without having to wait in line or before they sell out. That is what people are doing right now.
Okay, but the running and the yelling, is this how everybody behaves?
To a certain extent, mostly on market days, though. Most people are much more civilized than this.
Okay. Also, I noticed that the houses, they're so much closer together. Like, do they have any privacy, if you may?
Yes, they do. They're able to stay within the houses if they don't want to see people, and
interesting.
It's interesting. As one that came from the second level, there's a greater sense of community that I have noticed.
Okay.
People can stick together a little more. You are more in touch with your neighbors, which can be nice.
It's kind of like rabbits after they're born,
I suppose.
Okay.
If you wanted to use that
like
analogy, master.
Communal. Are they all related? I'm just kidding. I know they're not.
You
aren't I funny, Charles? Laugh with me.
Yes, sir. We should keep going. And he begins meandering his way through these markets, stopping at a couple different places, stopping to grab fruits. There's one shop that has apples and strawberries and corn and different vegetables and fruits and all this different types of produce. And he basically fills his basket with it, and then hands the basket to you.
Occasionally, I eat a strawberry or a peach.
Yes. Here, Edward, you hold this, and he hands you the basket.
Okay.
And as soon as you grab it, it's heavy. It's full of ripe produce. And you're immediately just like, "Woo, okay, I haven't had to lift anything this heavy ever."
Yes.
At which point, he goes up to another shop.
I immediately set the basket on the ground.
And grabs a second basket. He hands them a few coins, paying for the basket before coming back up to you and hands you the empty basket. And then he takes the one full of produce and says,
this one's much better. I like this one more.
Yes, it is a little bit lighter. We'll have to have you come more often. You can get stronger arms. And he just starts like lifting the basket, at which point you notice that Charles is pretty decently strong. Like he's not a scrawny man.
Edward's impressed. Edward never noticed, but yeah, he's like, dang.
yeah. Charles is a good guy. And he continues to make his way through the market. As you follow him, there are people of all different races and colors and backgrounds. You can see gnomes, some half elves, some actual full elves, which is a little bit interesting. You see lots of humans. You see a couple dwarves, some half orcs, all the likes. You can see when you look at the half orcs that they typically, if they're running a shop, it's much less busy. And if they're walking around, it's there's almost like a bit of girth to them, like people kind of stick around them, which is something that you notice. Every once in a while, a gnome will go running through your legs, along with halflings and stuff like that. People of all different races and backgrounds are here in this market trying to get their supplies for this coming week.
Charles.
After about
Charles.
Yes, sir.
Did you see there are orc people here?
Yes, half orcs. What about them?
I've heard horrible stories of orcs. First of all, I didn't know they could mate with, I mean, uh, normal like people. Second of all, I aren't they a bit aggressive to be in a crowd? Are we in danger?
You have quickly realized that the people of Oclaron are a rambunctious group, and
I've
do
noticed a
not.
couple gnomes have run through my legs. They're quite cheeky.
Yes, yes, very much so. They do not understand some of the levels of high-end life, and thus they do not understand how to behave themselves often, and so they will oftentimes make mistakes, such as mating with unholy races. We tend to avoid them.
Okay, that makes sense. I understand. I'll keep my eye out. Thank you, Charles.
Yes, yes. We should keep going though. And he begins making his way through. It takes about an hour for you to make your way through this whole section. Not the whole section. You basically entered the stairway. It goes about halfway, enters about halfway the market, and so it goes about 2 miles to your right and 2 miles to your left. You guys had taken a right and began making your way down the market that way. And after about an hour of walking and stopping and shopping, eventually the market kind of ends and it goes more into suburbs. And you can see there's one more large gate that Charles goes to. This time he makes his way down and it has to show a card. He shows basically you have them as well. They're papers that just identify who you are. It's kind of like social security numbers or birth certificates, stuff like that. It's Oclaron's version of it. And so Charles shows those, at which point he actually gets stamped on his wrist along with you. And then you make your way
I pull my
down.
hand back right before they do it. I say, "What are you doing?
Oh, Edward,
Are you planning on defacing my wrist?"
Yes. Do you see the people of the lower ring are filthy and do not need to be here in the upper rings. And so if you're going to go down to the lower ring, you need to be able to be marked to be able to come back so people would allow you to come back in. This is so that you don't get stuck down there.
Well, okay. I suppose it washes off, correct? Quite easily.
Yes, it washes off quite
Okay.
easily. At which point the guard
I cringe.
just grabs your wrist kind of aggressively,
Yeah.
and then stamps you.
That was rough. And I keep walking.
Charles makes his way down. This staircase is actually a little bit longer than the secondary staircase. It's probably about 100 feet to go down. And you guys go between about 7 or 8 switchbacks, going back and forth before making your way into the lower city, lowest portion of the city. And there's a stark sight. You're used to lots of plants and well-kept roads, beautiful houses, pillars, lots of lovely people. Here there is an overcrowded population of dirty, filthy, not great land. It's interesting because there are some parts of the lower level that are still like fairly nice, but the further you go into the cave and around the backside, it gets worse and worse and worse and darker and darker and darker. You guys are still in the southern portion, so you arrive in what looks like a plaza with a fountain in the middle, and it's fairly nice. Across the way, you can see a couple different buildings that are all in still pretty decent condition, but as you look further right, you can see it begins to get more and more diminished the further right you go, and the same thing right or left.
So right. If I'm picturing this correctly, the farther I go into the city, the lower rings, the further into the cave it is.
No, so it's all, there's rings that go, each ring is about halfway out of the cave and halfway into the cave.
Okay,
the lower you go, the lower you go, the more impoverished it is, but the closer to the outside of the ring, or to the outside section of the ring, not the covered cave portion of the ring, the nicer it is. So if you're in the lowest level on the very northern side, or the side farthest into the cave, you can imagine would be the most distraught.
Okay, so which part are we in now? Are we in the cave?
You're currently outside the cave. You're in the
Okay.
southern portion of the lowest ring. So it's still kind of nice. They try to mimic the second ring a little bit,
I
but
mean,
you
but
can
it's
tell,
shabby.
yeah, you can tell that it's not the greatest. It's a little bit dirty. It's the materials here are not pristine, high quality hardwoods or anything like that.
Sure.
It's still nice. It's rustic in its own way.
Hmm.
You could
To
see
Edward, though, it's
it's
absolutely
gross.
trashed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just absolutely disgusting. Um, and as you look around the plaza, you can see that there's a lot of people just sitting around doing nothing.
Hmm.
It's quite interesting. Um, Having time to relax is one thing. If you're studying or if you're reading a book, or listening to music or creating music or anything like that, that's one thing. But sitting hunched over against a bench or against the wall, or anything like that is not something you've really ever seen before.
Hmm.
And it's quite shocking to you that people would have the time to just go about doing something, especially seeing someone like your father who is constantly busy, constantly working.
I
That you
rarely
almost
see
have to
him.
like exactly you almost have to like fight for his attention. Seeing something like this where nobody's doing anything, or it seems like nobody's doing anything, is
Hmm.
interesting to you.
Hmm. Yeah, Charles.
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, I'm a bit happier. It's a bit quieter here. I like that. That was quite obnoxious earlier. But this looks quite drab. It's it's quite shocking. And these people, they look saddened. What, has something terrible happened? Was there a natural disaster? Why are these people like this?
The Lost Ring is home to many people who don't have a home. Um, the city does not want people to. They have a reputation they wish to uphold, and so they want people to want to come here. And having people that are impoverished dirtying the city is something that we try to hide. And so they stay on the lower level. Um, and if you look, and he goes and he points out far right and up a little bit, you can actually see that there's the outer wall, but there's two staircases on either side. If you look out right or out left, east or west, there's two staircases that go from the front of the wall, um, and lead right up to the second level. Um,
Hmm.
these are so that visitors who do not wish to see the first level do not have to. They can just go right up to the second level and enjoy the more satisfying parts of life here in Athala.
Hmm. Well, that's quite sad. That doesn't seem fair. I mean, I'm all for keeping keeping people who are a little less je ne sais quoi.
Sweet. Sorry about that. My laptop died, and so we had to like reconnect and everything like that. But
Rookie move.
right, I know I'm just the absolute worst. I
Hey, we just
apologize.
started. We're figuring it
Yeah,
out.
to all you Dungeoneers out there, I can't believe
Dungeoneers,
hear that,
yes,
but I
yes.
apologize to all you guys. I'm trying to be better. I'm not as professional as some other people, so I'm trying my best. But we're making it work. So I have a nice red spot now too. Anyway, I'm just gonna cover that up. Anyway,
You look lovely. You look
thank
amazing.
you,
Love the
thank you. I
bandana.
try,
Love the bandana.
trying really hard.
Really brings out your
So
eyes.
yeah, we had just finished, or we had just before we broke up, the conversation that you're having with Charles was done of poor people and how they suck and we don't want to show them.
Yeah, but
According to
also
Charles' point of view.
the challenge of why they're so in pain. I asked, was there a natural disaster or something terrible that happened? I don't know if that was before Charles went on his rant, but that's where we are.
Last thing I heard was you said je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Clearly, we want to keep out those that don't have as much je ne sais quoi. But I mean, this just doesn't seem fair. They look so drab, and who is permitted to live like this? I mean, this is
There are
horrible.
there are programs in place to help these people The problem is they just won't help themselves. Really, it's truly
Uh,
unfortunate. So
hmm.
we just let them be, and if they wish to have help, then they come to us. Apparently,
I
I'm
suppose
not
that makes sense. I
super
mean,
familiar with the system, but
yeah,
it is how
many
it
of
is.
them are just sitting. I mean, I suppose they could be making something of themselves.
Exactly. Yes, we try to avoid them. Anyway, we have some things we need to get. We need to make our
Uh,
way
that
west.
leads to another question. Why are we shopping down here? Or what are we doing? Isn't there plenty in the marketplace? That place was full.
There are certain items that are harder to acquire and require interacting with some more unsavory people.
Hmm.
We need to get um, Chico lotus leaves. They will. They're for an experiment your father is doing with Audronite and the refinement of it and different things, and we're seeing if these leaves can potentially help quicken some certain effects. It's all a part of the business. I'm sure your father will explain it to you, but we need to
Okay.
go run to the
Well,
shop.
okay, Charles, you're beginning to make me nervous. These are these like dangerous fellows? Should I wait?
No, 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 no. You will be just fine. If you're going to inherit your father's business, you need to learn how to interact with these type of people. Uh,
Okay. Okay, let's go then. I can do it.
yes, very well. We must go east, and so he begins making his way left or east for you. Um, and so they begin making their way through. And as you're going through, there is a number of different kind of areas that you're going through. As you go through left, the road kind of winds around these interesting little switchbacks and loops and stuff like that, where all these houses are and different back alleys are, before eventually it splits to go around this plaza, another smaller plaza. This one is recessed, where there is kind of, it's almost like an amphitheater, and so it's like these not concrete but stone stairs that go down into this kind of recessed area. And it's still fairly nice. We haven't quite gotten to the point where it's really starting to look impoverished. um, and so as you get to the split, he takes a right for you and then immediately goes around the corner and begins making his way down this little square down this road of shops, before eventually stopping in front of this pretty dark and dismal shop. There's no sign above it. It's kind of it's interesting because it blends in with the rest of the shops here along this wall. Um, but as soon as he stops in front of it and you actually like take a glance and notice at it, it is so much different than all the rest. While
Hmm.
the rest of the shops look at least like they're trying to stay in good condition, like people dust them every once in a while. This shop is dusted and rotting in places. There's no sign. You can see that there's one big window in the front that has like grime around the edges and the corners, and it looks like it's beginning to be in disarray. And there's a couple of different puppets that line the front of the window. At which
Hmm.
point Charles goes in, and there is a little uh, ring, as it like there's a bell towards the top of the door, and he enters in. Do you follow him into the building?
Um, First I pause. I say, now I expect he doesn't hear me. I go, Charles, Charles. The door
The
closes. Charles. Oh, ah. And I look around. I hold my nose and I'm like, oh, smell. Is this place safe? And I take a closer look at the puppets.
Mhm. Yeah, they're all three um, male puppets, all humanoid in nature. You can see they're like the ones with like the strings and the like the
Mm-hmm.
thing above it that you use to make them dance. Um, so you make your way through, but they're all creepy in their own way, um,
Ugh,
as usually dolls are, um,
yeah.
and kind of spindly. Their arms and legs are a little bit longer than they would normally be on a human. Um, just
Gross.
enough,
Edward.
just enough to not look quite right and be
Mm,
unsettling, but you don't. It's interesting because you're like, okay, this is weird, but it's also like just
It's like-
normal enough that you're like,
Right.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
creepy.
I'm not sure. These are interesting. Oh, ew, I don't know if I want to go in here. I thought we were getting pedals, not puppets. And I walk through the door.
Ring, ring. The door again rings as you open and close it. At which point you can see Charles is at a desk. There is, as you walk in, there's one shelf immediately to your left, and then there's a counter that goes out along this left wall with a little section that you can go around, and you can see that there's a back hallway or room or something like that that's curtained off. There's then shelves that go all along the back and the right side of the room with one like set of shelves that go through the middle of it, and there are knickknacks and random items. You can see that there are like bones in places that have like intricate symbols drawn on them. There's armor, there's weapons, there's different a variety of different things going on that look bizarre in nature. They're just weird. You can't really tell how they work or what they would do. And then there's a large variety of different bottled liquids of different colors, all these different types of stuff. And you can see Charles is at that counter talking to a woman. She looks to be tall, slender. She has this white silvery hair that's kind of pulled up into a braid that goes around the top of her head and kind of makes like a circle top of her head. She looks young, probably about 24 or so, rather beautiful, with bright blue eyes, kind of tannish skin. Her limbs are just a little bit longer than they should be. Not enough to be like as disturbing or creepy as the puppets, but just like not quite proportional.
Okay.
And she's talking to Charles.
Is she a high elf or
She
can
looks
I
human.
tell?
Yeah, she looks human.
Okay.
Yeah, with kind of high set cheekbones, sharp features.
How pretty is she?
She's pretty.
Okay. But not like stunning.
It just would depend on your taste, you know. She's she has nice features, she has good skin, pretty well taken care of. Not necessarily like everybody's type, you know, but it's best to you. Love are the beauties in the eye of the beholder type of thing.
Okay.
So yeah, you'd probably be. She's probably the prettiest woman that you have met aside from your mother.
Ow! And she's about my age. I think I'm 23, I believe.
Yeah. So this woman looks to be mid-20s, maybe just a little bit older, probably like 25, 26, something like that.
Okay. And does Charles start speaking to her?
Yes. As you approach, you can see that Charles is talking to her. And it's interesting because he's saying things with a certain inflection that makes you think that he means something else.
Okay.
So he'll be going through and he says, we're in need of a special item or a special package that we brought in. There was a variety of different counterfactors that allowed for new results that are intriguing, and so we wish to try other methods. More
I say Charles, one moment. I walk up to the counter and look
yes,
at her
sir.
and I say, you often don't find flowers in anthills. What are you doing here?
I am conducting business, young man.
What I'm trying to say is you're quite beautiful and the surroundings aren't. Are you from elsewhere?
I have been all over.
All over? Are you a traveler? I'm quite intrigued.
That.
You see, I am a fellows. My name is Edward N. Fellows, and I'm from, of course, I come from up. And so I'm down here, and you've rather caught my eye. I'm curious what you're doing here.
Oh, you are quite handsome yourself. You know. And she kind of reaches out and touches your face. At which point Charles like puts a hand on your shoulder and just pulls you back like one step.
I slap his hand off. I'm like, what are you doing? And I say, well, it seems like my
Or putting his hands
butler's
behind his back.
it seems like my butler is getting a little antsy. So how about you guys conduct your business and maybe we can talk afterwards? Does that sound nice?
Well, here, you know where my shop is. You take this, and she hands you just this little. It's like her card, quote unquote. But it's just one piece of like thin slate with a couple different symbols kind of carved across it. And right now they're glowing. So she hands you that.
Wow. Okay, I take it and I
Charles,
kiss it. I kiss it in front of her. I say, I will get back to you. Charles, do your
I look
business.
forward to it.
And I step back, and I'm still looking at her intently as Charles talks with her.
Very nice. Charles continues his business. Eventually, this woman, who you don't know her name quite yet, goes and she says that she understands, and she goes into the back room. You can hear her kind of rummaging around a little bit before eventually coming back with a jar. Interesting, because the jar is actually, it's 3 jars that all like stack on top of each other. And in each one, you can see there's a little bit of liquid with this lotus flower floating at the top of it. And there's 3 of them kind of stacked on top of each other. At which point she sets it down on the counter, and she puts one flower. She takes the top flower off and goes 300, 800, 1,000. At which point Charles kind of looks at her and says, 800 for all 3. To which she kind of scoffs and goes, no, it will be 1,000.
I step in again and push Charles aside, and I say, perhaps you misheard him. I am of the fellows. And 800 seems to suffice.
Is that so? And she kind of reaches out and just like tickles your chin just a little bit.
It actually tickles when I laugh. Don't do that.
For the young man.
We could go. We could go. Wait, what?
For the young man, I could do 900.
Yeah. I mean, that seems fair to me, Charles. I mean, look at her. That's what I say.
As you wish, sir. And he pulls out a small stack of coins, sets it down, and then pulls out 400 coins and puts it in another bag before leaving, or not 400, but 4 platinum out of the bag,
Charles.
Before leaving the rest. And it's a smaller bag. You can see he says 9 platinum or 900 gold. And so he sides that across the counter, at which point he then takes the lotus flowers and hands them to you to put in the basket, which you can now see has nothing else in it except for like straw, basically, to help like cushion this.
I place in there. Yeah, he places them. I immediately, like, I kind of roll my eyes and go, ugh. And I conjure Unseen Servant, I cast, which is a level 1 spell, which I'm sure you're familiar with it, but I'll go ahead and explain it. It's essentially a small, invisible, mindless, shapeless creature force that appears, and it follows simple commands until the spell ends, et cetera, et cetera. That's essentially what it does. And so I conjure this little guy, and I tell him, carry, follow. And I reach my basket out and just like let go. And I've done this several times, so I know exactly where it is. And the Unseen Servant grabs the basket, and it is now floating behind me.
As soon as you cast magic, this woman kind of looks at you like up and down, and you can see that she's like checking you out and is rather impressed. You can see as she you hear as she turns, she goes, handsome and powerful. And then she makes her way into the back room.
I say, Charles, did you hear what she said?
Yes, sir, I did.
She didn't tag on rich either. I think I'm in. I'll keep her in mind. I mean, she is human after all. My father would like that.
As you wish, sir. Just be careful. You know, she is well traveled. We'll put it that way. But I mean, you can do what you like, I suppose. And we should get back. And he begins making his way over the course of the next 30 minutes or so. You make your way back towards the southern end of the lower ring before making your way back up the stairs. You can see that there's two gates. There's one at the bottom of the staircase that you have to go through where they check your sticker. And it's interesting because they don't just look at it. They actually have these stones that have holes in the middle and this little piece of glass that go over it, and they rest that over this symbol that they've stamped on you, and it glows faintly before they allow you to go through. And so you do that at the first gate, and then when you get to the second level, they do that at the second gate as well, allowing you to enter back into the second floor, the second ring, where it's a little bit more to what you're used to. Not quite as busy as it was. It's been a few hours since you first arrived there, and so people are starting to pack up as they have either sold out or they're no longer needing to sell things. There's still a few shops that are still open, and still a decent amount of people around. Not enough to really it's not as chaotic as it was before. But you can see that it's getting probably about 2:00. You slept in a little bit as you normally do, not needing to get up early by any means. And then you've been gone for probably about 5 hours or so in total. So you make your way back up. You're starting to feel a little bit hungry.
As we go through the marketplace, I'd like to stop Charles. I say, Charles, and I just stop. And I look puzzled. And Edward says, you said something earlier that's been troubling me. When we were down at the lower level, you mentioned that the people don't have homes. I mean, I saw plenty of homes there. Certainly they can find a place, but what exactly did you mean by that? Do you mean they don't have families? Do you mean they stay in hotels or travelers? What do you mean?
The people there that don't have homes are people that have no money and cannot afford to buy the estates or rent an inn or anything like that. They are people that have that do
I
not
didn't
work.
know. I didn't know there were people that didn't have money. I mean, how hard is it to get? You just do something.
To a certain extent, yes. You have to be good at different things, and those people are not good at things and not generally good people. You'll quickly find that it takes a certain level of stature to really be able to hold on to one's morals. Your father can explain more to you about this. I don't feel like it is my place to educate you on this.
Well, I have one more question.
Yes.
So if these people don't have homes, do they have children?
Sometimes.
I've seen children running in the streets.
Earlier you compared these people to that of bunnies, and I would say it's more that they are like rats. And he begins making his way back through the market.
Edward is challenged by that. He doesn't seem satisfied with that answer. And especially the thoughts of children and not having homes. He's definitely having a hard time swallowing that pill. He didn't know there's so much pain and there are people so little. So that's what's going on in his head as they jaunter back up to his estate.
They make their way back to your estate. Every once in a while, Charles will just stop. You can tell that all the questions, he's conflicted because he feels like you should be educated on this stuff, but he doesn't feel like it's his place to educate you on them. So he's not sticking as close to you. He'll walk ahead and then stop and let you catch up as you're going at a fairly slow pace as well. And so he goes through and is doing that before you guys make your way all the way back up to your estate on the third ring. It's nice to be home. It's nice to be in a clean, beautiful place with plenty of trees and benches and fresh air, all these types of things. You guys make your way into the estate, and Charles immediately makes his way towards the kitchen and begins putting away all the different food that he had gathered, the dried meats, the nuts, the fruits, the bread, cheese, all that good stuff, as he puts it away before eventually he takes your basket and this goes to your father's office, which is almost always the doors closed and locked. simply sets the basket down in front of it, knocks 3 times, and then begins his way back into the kitchen to finish his duty.
Okay.
Yeah, now that you're back at the estate, what would you like to do?
First, obviously, I hang up my coat.
Yeah.
And then I would imagine that Edward would actually go to his common living space, his room, and sit and think for a bit.
Yeah.
Just like kind of processing what just happened.
Mhm.
And thinking more. But then after some time's passed and he's been thinking about it, he goes to his father's office, and
Mhm.
I assume by now he's collected the basket and
Yeah, the
the
basket
door's
is no longer
closed.
there.
And Edward, now he has rarely ever done this, but he knocks on the door.
Um, about 3 to 4 minutes pass by with nothing before your father opens the door and almost he's surprised to see you. He goes, "Oh, Edward, I was expecting another delivery. I wasn't expecting to see you. What do you need?"
Father, I know you're quite busy. I don't mean to be abrasive, but um, I, I I would like to chat a bit about what I saw outside today. It was
Oh,
quite surprising. If you have just a couple minutes.
um, he kind of like looks behind him back at his work before looking back at you and yes, I suppose that's fine. Come sit down. And this is interesting. You have been in the office a couple times, but not often. And every single time it's like a little different, just because there's been so much time that passes um, between the few times that you've been in there. You can see that it's a fairly dark office with a couple different lamps in the corners, stuff like that, to provide the little bit of illumination that it needs. There are dark mahogany bookshelves all along the either side of it. Your father's desk sits a little further away from the wall where he can face out towards the door, and there's 2 chairs in front of his desk on a nice rug. It looks like an owl bear rug with a
Wow.
painting of your whole family behind him. You being quite young when this painting was made, you can actually remember having this painting made, as it was a very stressful time for you, as your parents were both yelling at you to stay still for hours on end, and you did not want to do that. You're quite young, but there's that painting hanging behind him on his desk, and you can see that there are books and ledgers and papers and you can see there's a spilled jar of ink that has stained the desk in the past, and there's wax on different places and quills all over. Very disorganized and busy. But he says, "Here, sit," and then goes around the desk to sit at his chair before asking, "So, what is on your mind, son?"
So just real quick, Edward, this is nerve-wracking to Edward because
Mhm.
he never interrupts his father.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there. This is taking quite a bit of courage. Edward says, "Ugh, I saw some troubling things that I've never heard of before. Well, first of all, did you know that there's a such thing as half orcs?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's besides the point. They were in the marketplace. It was quite alarming.
Something
But
that I have discovered about our race is that we enjoy the exotic side of life. And you can see that he's actually like finicking with his ring um, before allowing you to continue.
um, yes. Well, then we went lower, and I saw it was quite dirty. It was quite shambled, and I saw people. Charles said there were people with no homes, people with no money. There were several just sitting, not doing anything. And I don't know. It troubled me. And Charles was saying that some people need skills and things, and many people aren't wanted at the higher levels, which I understand. But I just don't get it. Like, why why are there people living that way? I mean, clearly there's enough money to go around. There were several people in the marketplace. We certainly seem to be doing okay. Like, isn't there something that we can do? Is it a
The
corrupt government?
people of the lowest level are hardened people who are stubborn to some of the benefits that we wish to give them. Education can be expensive, and as you know, being one of who has been well educated, we have spent many hours and many years making sure that you are prepared to take over this business and to understand politics and business and how Audronite mining works and all this. So, as you know, it takes a good fair bit of time and money and effort, stuff that we cannot provide for everybody. Um,
So you're saying that they need to be educated. They just don't.
to a
They
certain
haven't been.
extent, education allows people to develop skills that create opportunities for them. And it can be hard for that to be given to some people. And it also doesn't help that they are ones who prefer crime and are often more corrupt than willing to work hard for what they want. They'd rather, more often than not, they'd rather steal and take, allowing them to be lazy than to work hard for what they have. Like us here at the upper levels, we work hard and are people of morals and strength who have rules and laws that we must follow in order to maintain our composure and maintain our style of life. And that is not something that they are willing to do. They would much rather take and steal and thrive off of the backs of others, is what my experience has given me on them.
I think I understand. And I won't bother you much longer. I just have one more question. I've just been curious. Was Mother from one of the lower rings?
She, no, it's quite simply she was from she was from further up north in Vianola. I had done a few different trips there, trying to find new places for mining opportunities in the Lunacona Mountains. As you know, the mountain range that separates Oclaron from Vianola. And so on one of my visits there, she was helping guide me through the country, trying to discover new variations in the formations of the rock that would allow to possibly allow for the creation of Audronite and different things. She was quite helpful in guiding my efforts, and that is how we met. And eventually we got married and fell in love, and she moved here. As you know, she enjoys being outside and around town. She oftentimes also stays in Vianola. We have a separate estate there that she likes to stay at as well. So no, she's not from the lower levels. She's from Vianola.
Okay. I think I understand. Thank you for taking your time. I can go now.
All right. Well, just let me know if you have any more questions, I suppose. I am quite busy, so try and talk to Charles when you can, or to your mother, or someone else. But if you need me, just let me know, I suppose.
And with that, not Charles. Edward stands up and he exits the room and closes the door quietly.
Mhm.
Edward sits there and thinks again a little bit. And then he would like to go to his mother.
Okay.
I would like to make a point. So Charles, not Charles, I keep saying that. Edward, he doesn't know much about his mother.
Mhm.
He doesn't see his mother that often, and he doesn't really know anything about her life prior to meeting my father Newgate. So that conversation with his father was pretty new to him.
Yeah.
But now Edward processing that and thinking about the Lower Rings and thinking about his mother and not knowing about her past, he is going to go speak to his mother to try to just to ask her some questions regarding her heritage.
Mhm. Yeah. You
So
know that your mother.
I try to find her in the estate
Yeah.
wherever she is.
Yeah, definitely. You know that she likes to hang out in the gardens more often than not. Your father, when she moved to the estate, actually had several native trees from Vianola moved here to the estate to help it feel a little bit more homely for her. And so she oftentimes spends a large amount of time in the garden around these trees and around this grove that he has kind of created um, specifically for her. And so you go out. That's the first place that you look, is that's where she is most often, and you can see her sitting on a bench, staring out into the grove with a little cup of wine.
Okay. So I walk out. And in my mind, she's not facing me. Um and I walk up behind her and I say, "Mother,
um, Edward, how are you?
I got you again." And I give her a hug. Even if she's
She
sitting.
hugs you back. Yeah,
And I'd like to take a seat next to her if there is one.
yeah. She scoots over a little bit, allows you to sit down. What do you need, son?
So Edward is clearly more comfortable with his mother. His
Mhm.
mother is a wood elf, and
Yep.
I am now a half elf who's a half wood elf, half human. And so just throwing that out there. Mom, I for the first time in a long time, I went into town. I went to the lower rings with Charles.
Oh, very nice. How was that?
It was wonderful in some ways. It was shocking in some others. And it was a bit challenging in other ways. I saw several things that were quite troubling. And I just have a couple questions. Were you ever poor?
Yes, I was.
Like, did you have a home?
I came from a small town in Vianola, a small tribe that prided themselves on knowing the land around them. That is how I was able to meet your father. I had I had a good knowledge of the southern portion of Vianola and the connections in the mountain ranges that on the Vianola side of the Lunacota Mountains. So I was quite useful to him in surveying the land and trying to discover new potential pockets for the Ardronite mines that he runs. And so we were poor, but we had a home and we had a place to live.
That's good. That's good. So, w- did father kind of save you from your poor lifestyle? So are you happier here? Clearly, you didn't
And
have much, and now you have the world. I mean, it must be so different for you.
it is very different. I work much less now. Um, when I lived in Vianola, we had to find our own food. We had to move often in order to stay with the herds that we hunted. We had ceremonies that we went through. We had our own way of doing life, and I do life very differently now. I still like to go back to Vianola every once in a while to be with my people and my home, but the lifestyle that I live is one that is nowhere near as hard anymore.
Hmm. That makes sense. I mean, that sounds horrible. Having to work, having to move. I mean, and
It
never.
is just different. Your father works very hard and manages many people and pays them all very well and keeps their lives going. And so it is different in a way of one is for survival and one is for profit. Um, the lower rings, I have noticed, seem to have people that work for very little and have very little. It was different when I was in Vietnam. I still worked very hard for what I had, um, versus some people that I have seen who work very little for what they have, um, riding on the backs of others. But there was also a sense of community with it. When we were in Vianola, there was many times where I was too small or too weak or not smart enough or good enough that I didn't know how to get the resources that I needed or where to get them. And it took someone coming alongside of me and showing me the way and teaching me how to work hard and how to figure these things out, to really understand how to survive on my own.
Hmm. Mother, I've been pondering something, and it might be hard to hear, but I think I might need to do it. Hmm. You've always been uh very supportive of me. You've encouraged me in my music, which you know I love. You've taught me about nature. You've been there to tell me that my magic is coming along when in all reality it wasn't. And you've just been you've been a comfort to me around here. It's hard sometimes with father, you know. I understand he has a business. He wants me to take up the business, um, and he wants me to make sure that I'm schooled, that I know what I'm doing. But it can be a lot at times, and you kind of have given me a bit of escape. Um, now, in knowing that you came from somewhere like I was just at is so alarming to me. It's shocking that someone like you could be from someone like there's somewhere like that. And I'm thinking maybe I want to give more people from those places more of a chance. Those people are
Okay.
just just sitting there. They have nothing. They sure they need talents, but just as father was saying, they are uneducated. They need to be shown a better way of life. They need to be given a chance, and I think that I could maybe give them that chance. And I know it's crazy, but I've never really been into the thought of owning the business. I'm not good at that anyways, and I'm much better at I don't know, music. I'm better at uh, magic and laughter. I don't know. I just I feel like there's more to offer out there for the Fellows family name than I could do in the business, and I'm thinking that maybe I need to go and go give them a chance and show them how to live a good life.
Okay. Um, there, um, there are a number of things that go with that. Um, the as you know, I have always supported you in your endeavors, but this would be different than anything else that you've ever done. This would be challenging. This would be something that I don't think you could do, perhaps. There are just so many people down there that need to be changed, that brought up, taught proper morals and how to work hard and how to. Obviously, like I came from a place like them, but it wasn't like like your father came to educate us. He he just was there, and I happened to take a hold of some of the teachings that he could bring me. And
And mother, if it wasn't for my father, you would not be here. You'd be stuck living, moving, working. It makes sense to me. I mean, I think I could do something, if not just to lend a helpful hand and tell them that there's more to life. I don't know. I don't think I'll be
um,
able to make much difference owning a business. It's bigger than me anyways. What will I do? Just be busy like dad, cooped up in an office? I don't want that. I want to play. I want to dance. I I I met a girl today, mother. I wouldn't have done that here. There's so much to life.
um,
I don't know. I don't
you,
know. I
you,
maybe I just need to go and think.
you, you, um, sh-
I thought
just
you of all
go.
people would understand me.
Go talk to your father. He'll be able to help you with this. Help educate you. I'm not doing a good job of explaining these things. You go talk to your father. And she kind of gets up and just starts walking away. And you can see she like downs the rest of her glass.
Oh, that's Neefendil. That's her name. Oh shoot, Edward is worked up. Tears in the eyes. He did not get the response from his mother that he was anticipating. He thought his mother, as always, would be encouraging and say, yes, there are people out there that need your help, etc. And he's also torn because the weight of his father's business, is on his shoulders, etc. So I would imagine he spent some time in the garden. Maybe he spent some time with some music, practicing magic, but none of that really appeases him. Whew. He's gonna go speak to Charles again.
Okay.
Where would he find Charles?
So Charles has his own room, much smaller than any of the other rooms, but just enough. It's actually fairly nice for some of the other places that butlers would stay. But Charles has his own room with plenty of space, walk-in closet for the few things that he has, a desk, drawers, all that good stuff. And so you go and knock on that and knock on his door, and he opens the door and says, Edward.
I barge in. I don't even let him say anything. I barge in and I just start off. I'm like, why are there people who don't have money? I don't get it. People just have to do things. Why don't more people just tell them, hey, pick up an instrument, or hey, go out and make a chair, make some money? I don't get it. Why are people just sitting around while there are people that don't have homes? I don't understand. I thought my mother would be supportive, but I guess she's not.
Sit down. And he gently sits you down on his bed and just says, breathe, young master, breathe.
I'm so upset. My father just gave half answers to everything. You certainly understand. Were you born of a poor family? Like, were you noble? I'm so confused.
My family has served as servants for many years to your family. If I were to marry and have a child, my son would eventually serve you and your son, and just as my father has served your father and his father.
That makes sense.
There are many different things that go into it, but we still work hard and we make our way. And now I live in this beautiful estate in one of the best families and most predominant families here in the city. I'm truly blessed to serve you.
So Charles, then if it's that simple, why aren't people like us going out and giving jobs to more people?
Well, there are only so many jobs.
Well, why don't they tell them how to live? I mean, clearly they have to turn to crime. I mean, they're uneducated. I mean, why don't we offer them some of that? What? Let me slow down. Charles. As you know, I've always struggled with the business side of things. I do the work, I learn, and all that, but I don't enjoy it. And you've seen me and heard me practice, and I'm getting quite good at music. I'm getting pretty decent at magic, and I'm thinking that maybe I could make the family name great in a different way. Maybe I could go out and build more people up, educate them, teach them how to live a better way, a way that's not full of crime and laziness, one that's full of work and good conduct. What we have here, and if I built enough of those people up, then perhaps I could grow the business even further than Dad could ever imagine. Do you understand, Charles? I want to. If you were here with our family, you would have nothing, and I want to maybe offer similar things to others. And I know my father won't like that. I know he'll maybe even be angry at me, but maybe if I work hard enough, as he's always taught me, that I can make a name for myself. And that's what I'm thinking, Charles, and I don't know what to do.
Sir, There are everyone has a place in this world. Your place is with this business, is with your family. My place is here, serving your family. You cannot
And
go
the
and just
people,
change.
the place of those people on the streets, that's their place in the world to just suffer?
Who are we to decide their place? Who are we to try and change this? The destiny has reasons for us all. There are places for us all. You have been brought into this family and been given everything. You wish to turn your back on this family and throw that all away so you can go help some random stranger on the street that you don't even know their story, that you don't know anything about their lives? Try to think
Charles,
clearly here.
Charles, I'm trying to think clearly. There's another piece to the puzzle, and I know it's not the most important thing, but Charles, you saw how that girl looked at me. I've I've never had a girl look at me like that. I've never even met anyone because I'm always on this stupid estate. Don't tell my father I said that. But
That
there's
girl
I
was
feel like
just
there's
a
more to
random
life than
shop owner.
sitting in an office. I would just be sitting in an office, you know, and if I were to have a family, I wouldn't even be with them. That sounds horrible. I, maybe there's more to life than this. Maybe my place in the world is going and helping those. Have you ever thought of that, Charles?
It is not my place to determine where you go and what you do. I am but a humble servant. If you want to go out, then you go
But
out.
you're my friend, Charles. You're my friend. I've been with you more than my father. I've, you taught me how to shave, Charles. I, I want you to know why I might be leaving. It's not because I hate my family. It's not because I think they don't love me. It's because I think there's more out there for me, okay?
Then do it. Why are you talking? It is not my place to tell you where you are to go. You are the one who has been given everything: the education, the pampering, the money, the clothes, the food. What you choose to do with it is yours. It is not my place to tell you. I simply know that your whole life you have been brought up to take over this business. This is a successful and prominent business that helps many people. By supplying Audronite, we create magic that helps so many people. It is not like taking over this business will be the end of your life, or that you won't be able to help people by doing this. You'll provide jobs for them. The mineral that you supply to the arcane practitioners of this city will help allow them to heal and allow their work to thrive, which in turn allows others to thrive. You don't have to go out and dirty your hands in the mud to help people. You can stay here with your family where it is clean and proper and good.
Charles, what you just said has actually given me a lot of clarity. It's helped me so much. Saying, I mean, I have been given everything. It's mine. It's mine to use. It's not my father's. He's given it to me, but it is mine. It's mine. I get to do it. I get to do it. I can with it, and I know I know he's never said it, but I see it in his eyes, and I know why I'm not out of the estate much. I know he's rather embarrassed by me having a half-elf son. I know that for generations it's been humans, and I'm not ashamed, but I know he's been rather embarrassed by me, especially since I haven't been very stellar on the business side of things, and I know that this this would just push it over the edge. If I were to leave and spend time with those who have less, I know he would just be enraged. But Charles, listen. If 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 I go and if I make a difference, and if the fellow's name is great because of me, because of what I've done outside of this estate, then perhaps my father would be more proud of me than he could ever be now. Do you understand?
Your father
Even if I
is
do have
very proud of you.
I don't know. I don't know if he is. He doesn't tell me. Mother tells me. She'll say, "Good job, Edward." And she'll say, "That sounds really good, Edward." But my father just says, "Study harder." And I'm fine with that. I get it. He has to work hard. I have to work hard. But I just want him to say that he thinks what I've done is worthwhile. And I think maybe what I'll do out there is more worthwhile than what I can do with the business. So, Charles, if I go, I want you to know that I'll miss you. And I want you to know that I'm thankful for you. And I want you to know that you've been more of a father than my father was. And I know I don't show much appreciation to you, but I care for you. And there's always a place in my home if one day there isn't a place in this home. If I have a home. That's a strange thought. I'm troubled. I'm going to think it.
I can see your passion, and I will not stop you. If this is what you feel you need to do, then you must do it. And I will support you in whatever you decide.
Thank you, Charles. And Charles, if I'm not here tomorrow, if I'm not here in the morning, tell my father that there will be a note beside my bed, and that is where he can find his explaining. I don't think I could confront him with this. Feel free to explain away, but I don't know if anything will appease him. One last thing. Don't tell my father where I am if you ever find me. I know you travel into town. If you see me there or if you hear of me elsewhere, don't let my father stop me. I will come back when I think it is time. And shoot, maybe I won't even leave. But it's seeming quite likely. And also one last thing. Tell my mother that I love her very much, and if this breaks her heart, that I'm doing it for people like her, and that she's a great reason for me to have passion in the first place. Finally, just thank you. Thank you for all of the early mornings that you've prepared tea.
As you're saying this, he just pulls you into a hug.
And Edward just starts weeping. Edward can't even make out any words anymore. He's just weeping in the arms of Charles, the only one that's ever showed him true like companionship. And after that, he pulls away and he says to Charles, I will miss you, friend. And he quickly leaves the room and closes the door behind him. Charles heads up to his room, composes a letter for his father that I won't go into. I don't have it pre-prepared or anything, but it essentially says, just lays it out. He doesn't say anything extremely offensive to his father. He keeps it quite professional, actually, as in, after seeing what I've seen, I believe that I can make the family name great in a new way. I know you've expected me to take up this business, and one day perhaps I will. But first, I want to make you proud in a way that's different than the past generations, as I am different. Thank you for all you've given me. I will now use it for good. Signed, Edward and Fellows. And I gather my things, and I don't leave yet. I for the remainder of the day, I stay in my room, gathering my things and thinking about what's ahead. And then I go to bed, and that's the end of that day.
Yeah, you go to bed, and it's a restless sleep. You're feeling quite troubled and not really sure what to do. You wake up early the next morning, before sunrise, and Charles isn't there as he normally would be to do your morning routine or to help you get dressed or put on your clothes or brush your teeth or anything like that. He is nowhere to be seen. And as you get up, for the first time in a long time, you put on all of your clothes by yourself and gather your things. That letter still laying on your side table right next to your bed.
And it is early. I'd also like to say.
Yep, it's early.
Before my family is up, I suppose. Maybe my father's up, but he won't be around. Yeah, I gather my things. I don't really do anything in my room. I will gather my loot. I will gather my kalimba. I will gather my like flute, wooden flute, and I will make my way up to my mother's room, but I don't. And that's a good question. Does my mother and my father stay in the same room?
They stay in the same room. As one thing first, though, when you open your door, there is an envelope at your feet. And as you pick it up, you can see that it's sealed, and it is the symbol of the Fellows family, their crest that has done the wax seal. But along the border of the crest is a bunch of arcane symbols.
Interesting. Well, I pop it open. Pull that letter out, baby. What's it say?
You go to open it, and the symbols glow faintly and prevent you from opening the letter.
Interesting. I say, well, that's peculiar. I'll try again later. And I stick it in my bag.
Yes.
Well, before that, though, could I just, for the sake of rolling one check in this game, could I roll like an Arcana check to see what this might be, or if it's magic that I'm familiar with? Okay, let me
go for it. Roll it.
Let me pop out my D20. Okay. Okay. I feel so good rolling with this dice for Edward. It's the first check. Okay, I know. That's a 13.
Yep, they're arcane symbols.
All right. That's interesting. This seems to be quite advanced, and I stick it in my pack. My very nice looking leather pack. And I then I head up to my mother's room, or my father's room, both of them, and
Your parents' room.
Yeah, that. And I don't make any noises. I'm quiet. And I place my hand on the door, and I just say quietly to myself, Mother, you've been so supportive, and I'm so sorry, but I need to do this. And after that, I head down. I head to the kitchen, grab some bread rolls, maybe some fruits. I don't know what I need. And after that, I take a deep breath at the front door, and I step outside and start making my way down the driveway, or wagon way, if you may. I didn't get to make that joke earlier, so
very nice.
Thank you.
I like it.
Thanks. Yeah. So I begin to make my way down.
Wait. Just a quick question. Do you know how to make a wagon? Are you proficient in land vehicles?
Oh my gosh. DJ,
I had to put it in the stream.
Wow.
So,
why the
quick
first,
context,
the first
just for
section?
everybody that's out here. One of my favorite things that Grant has ever done was when I wasn't even a part of this.
Literally the first session. I think or the second session I was ever in.
Yeah. We were playing, and he noticed that he was proficient in land vehicles. So they were needing a cart, and so he goes, "Hey guys, I build a land vehicle, for I am proficient in land vehicles." And we all just
build a wagon.
And we're just like, that's not how that works. I just want to throw that in there.
Literally,
now the whole world knows.
So we've been playing for what, 5 to 7 years, somewhere in there, and literally they've never let me live that down from like day one. For years, I've been tantalized about this. So no, DJ, I am not proficient in land vehicles, and no, I don't build a wagon, but I do walk down the wagon way because I am proficient in leg vehicles.
Hey, sorry, not to take out of the game, but I just wanted to teach him on that.
Thank you for that moment.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you make your way down the wagon way. Let's see. You make your way down the wagon way. You get to the end of your estate, and for a moment your hand rests on the gate before taking a deep breath. You open the gate, close it behind you, and without looking back, you march forward. making your way
Indeed.
into the city. Where would you like to go?
Oh boy, where would Edward go? First he makes his way to the guards, because I'm assuming there's that gate. I don't go
Yep.
to any of the estates. I go down to the second level, I
Okay.
believe it was.
Yep.
And I'd like to interact with one of the guards that was at the gate. And I'd say, "Hail and well met, friend."
Is this one of the guards that are on the third level leading down to the second level, or one of the
Yes,
guards
yes,
at the
yes.
second level leading down to the first?
The first one you said. So I'm
Yeah.
just leaving the rich area, going into the
Yeah.
marketplace.
Yeah.
One of
Okay,
those
perfect.
guards. Who would have seen
Yeah.
me yesterday with Charles, unless it's
Exactly.
different guards.
Yeah, they're different guards, different shift, but they recognize you as a fellows, as you do have the crest on your jacket.
That
They
I do.
they say, "Good morning, sir. How are you?"
I am very good. A bit troubled, but good. I will not be returning. Don't look for me. But I would like to ask one thing. In the marketplace, I'm sure you know the place well. Where is the nicest inn you have, or perhaps tavern is what they call
Um,
them?
there are a variety of different ones. There is.
Where's the best one? The nicest.
I have stayed at the Silver Pegasus before, and it's rather nice.
Silver
Um,
Pegasus. Okay. Okay. I suppose could you like point me in that direction?
Yes, down the stairs, take a right, heading west, and then you will travel for probably about a mile, and then it will be this nice building on your left. It has white marble accents with silver lining, and things like that. You'll be able to recognize it. There's a sign that says White Pegasus, or Silver Pegasus, I should say. So that is the way. Down the stairs and to the right.
Okay. Thank you. And I start making my way. I would like to ask DJ.
Mhm.
I would assume that Edward would bring quite a bit of money. I don't know if he has access to a lot of money, because generally I would imagine Charles is the one that handles that stuff. I never really
Yeah.
have a need for it.
Mhm.
And I didn't say in the, I don't want to retcon anything. I don't want to say I tried to take anything from my father, because I don't think he would. But the noble background offers 25 gold as
Yeah,
the
you have
startup.
more than that.
Okay, how much would you like to say that I would have brought with me?
So over the years, your father has given you an allowance, not necessarily to have spending cash, but more to learn how to manage money. And you've done a good.
Investing.
Yeah, exactly. He would create scenarios, and you basically went into business with your dad. He would give you a certain amount of allowance, and then he'd say, "Hey, here are your options. You can either save it all, or you can buy this thing and potentially make money on it, or you can buy." And he had a variety of like higher end
Cool.
snacks that he would allow you to buy, like clothes and stuff. So you basically just would go into business with your dad. That was something that he hadn't done more so in recent years. He's still been giving your allowance, but over the last few years, he's just gotten busier and busier. And so it was something that he more taught you when you're in like your mid-teens and stuff. But not exactly something you've done recently a whole lot. So yeah, that's where you kind of got some money. You probably have about 200 gold by now.
Sure. Wow. Okay. Awesome. So just gotta mark that down. Sure. So I make my way through down the stairs and make my way towards the Pegasus. What do I see at this hour?
As you're going through, there's a couple of different things. It's pretty early in the morning, and the sun is rising on the horizon, but because of the walls and the cave and everything like that, it still is pretty dark here in the second level. So it's fairly dark. You can see that there's plenty of lanterns that are lit, nicer buildings. You're kind of towards the marketplace. Or you're still the staircase that you go down puts you right in the middle of the marketplace, and so you know that you take a right, and this time you actually go past the second stairwell that leads to the first level. Make your way past that into further to the this would be western end of Athala. And you can see that there are a number of different buildings, storefronts, a couple houses, a couple inns, stuff like that.
Are there many people out on the streets?
There's a couple. Mostly they're just guards stationed every about a mile or so. There's about 2 guards stationed every mile or so.
And I'm imagining the sun is coming up at this time. It is around
just
that time.
barely peeking over the horizon. One thing that you do notice is that piece of slate that you got from that woman.
Yeah.
When you got up to your estate, the symbols were no longer glowing, but the further you've made your way back down, the brighter they've begun to glow. They're not to the point
It's
where
like
they
a hot and cold kind of thing.
exactly, yeah, type of thing. So now that you're on the second level, it's just a little bit brighter than it was. As you got closer to that staircase, it got fairly bright, and now that you're moving past the staircase, it's beginning to dim just a little bit again.
Neat.
Yeah.
How about that?
So you begin making your way, and eventually on your left side there is a beautiful, like baby blue building with silver trim and white, like cathedral type pillars that kind of hold up the front porch, and you can see. It's a nice two-story building with what looks like plenty of space inside it, and there's a little sign across the top that says Silver Pegasus.
Edward looks at it and smiles to himself and looks up at the building and goes, huh, maybe this won't be that bad. And he just in a jolly manner, just walks right in. He'd like to first go to wherever there's like seating, like if there's like a open bar or something, that's where he would probably end up going first, just to kind of sit and plan.
Yeah, there's a couple of different places that you can sit. You enter the estate, and there is a large dining room, basically, with plenty of tables and booze, and there is a bar off to your left side that you could sit at. Plenty of space. The tables would have like more room to, like, look at maps or pull up anything that you had brought with you, or just set your stuff down versus at the bar. But it just kind of depends on what you're looking for.
So, are there any people in this large
You can
room?
see that there's one man in the corner smoking a pipe, just kind of sitting by himself with like a pint of ale, and there's currently nobody at the bar.
I look over at the one man and I say, it's so public in here. And I go and get a drink. I don't say that to the man. I say that to myself. I would like to go and maybe get a drink from the counter. Is there anybody there?
Currently nobody there.
Not very great service. If only Charles was here. Oh, well. And I look over to the man and I walk over to him. And I say, excuse me, sir.
You can see it's a burly dwarf with kind of this dirty black beard, very wrinkled and tight skin, kind of a bigger nose, smoking his pipe. It looks like he's been traveling for a little while with his one thing of ale. And he looks at you and goes, what do you want?
Do you know when this drink station opens up?
No, I got this last night. And he drinks the rest of it before putting it down, and then kind of standing up and goes, let's just keep moving.
You're quite a sprightly fellow, huh?
And he just kind of like begins meandering his way towards the front door.
Well, okay. This is tough. I would like to go up to the front desk.
There is no front desk. There is a bar that kind of has no one there.
Is there like a place to like check in, or is that the only
That'd probably be the bar. Yeah.
Okay. I sigh in frustration and I walk up to the counter and begin knocking on the counter and say, hello, is anybody here?
Yeah, so after slamming on the table for probably like 5 minutes or so, eventually you can see that there is this this older gnomish woman who makes her way down the stairs just to the right of the bar. You can see tattered hair, up kind of frizzy, a little bit sticking up, in a nightgown, make her way down the stairs and goes, what do you want?
I say, thank God, I've been standing here for hours. So I just have a couple questions. One, I might need a place to sleep. Is that something you have here?
Yeah. Yeah, we got rooms. The 10 silver a night. What else do you want?
Only 10 silver. Great. I don't have silver with me. Is 1 gold okay?
That would work perfectly, as that is the same
Okay.
price.
I will be back later today. I have another question.
Yes.
Hmm.
You can see she's like beginning to wipe sleep from her eyes and stuff.
For someone who's new to town, where would you recommend is a good place to meet fellow travelers? Does that make sense?
I mean, I
I don't
suppose
know.
here would be a good spot. Well, we're currently technically closed. Uh,
Well,
the
how
bar
long
isn't
do I
open.
how long do I wait?
The bar is gonna open in a couple hours.
Couple
Usually the
hours.
night times are busier. It's before dawn, man.
Okay. I suppose that's fair. I'll just wait here. In the meantime, could you please get me a drink? I'm parched.
She just opens the counter, like the gates basically to the counter, and says, "Help yourself," and then walks back upstairs.
I try to find the like most expensive line. I even venture kind of back farther into the kitchen looking for
Yeah.
like better stuff. But
Roll investigation.
okay, I'm into that. I need to stop putting my dice back in my dice case. I need to just leave them out for myself.
Right?
That's and this is investigation, correct?
Yes.
That's a 14
Yeah.
to try and find a good wine.
Yeah, there's not necessarily a whole lot of stuff in the back. You can see that it's more like a kitchen back there. So there's an ice box that has some meats, a big old barrel of salt that as you kind of like dig your way through, you can see there's a number of different dried meats and stuff. Plenty of fruits and vegetables, stuff that would go bad in a couple of days. You probably get the instance that she collects them very often. But you make your way back to the bar. And beneath the bar, kind of in the back corner of one of the little cabinets, you can see there's one bottle of pretty well aged wine that you find.
I take a nice glass and I pour myself some wine and I very tidily put it back and everything. And I go to my table and I sit there and I wait for
Nice.
however long I need. Edward needs to wait. He's rather grumpy, a little tired.
Nice.
He might take out his flute here and there and play a tune. But yeah, he just waits.
Perfect. And with that, that's actually where we're going to end your session here
Yes, I
by
thought
yourself
that's where you were gonna
in
end
the
it.
beautiful spot of the Silver Pegasus in the second ring of Athala. That's where we'll end. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like we said at the beginning of the episode, look forward to a couple more episodes. I think we have 2 more one-shots. We have one with Drew and then one with Aaron, Cather, and Tarak. So look forward to those. There should be Drew's is going to be on Monday, and I believe Tarak's is going to be on the following Friday. And then we have those 2 group shots before taking our 1-week break and then going into our full-fledged campaign. So feel free to keep coming back 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, Mondays and Fridays. We look forward to seeing you guys there. Awesome. Do you have anything you want to say, Grant, before we take off?
I would like to say that to our Dungeoneers that are listening to our one-shots, whether it be now or in the future, thank you for watching Edward's introduction. It was a blast. I'm so excited to play this character, and I'm very, very, very excited to see how he changes and how he interacts with our very unique party group of adventurers. So thank you for listening. And I'm so, so, so thankful to be a part of this wonderful cast with this great DM.
We are so thankful to have you as well here, Grant. I feel like we're like radio talk show hosts now. Like, thank you so much for coming on to the show. It's so great.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. But yeah, be sure to check out the rest of our streams. You can also check us out at the Paper Dungeon on just about any social media, or you can go to thepaperdungeon.com where we have posts up about all of our episodes and stuff. You can get to know the cast a little bit better, all that good stuff. So yeah, go check it out. Otherwise, I think that's where we're going to go ahead and take off, guys. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.